Good afternoon, everybody. You already know it's Wednesday. It is, excuse me, 8 p.m. I'm sorry, Thursday, Bill. Or what day is it, Bill? Wednesday today.
Wednesday, pal.
You
Wednesday.
know what? I'm
College
just
football frenzy.
yes, I'm so happy because we got a special guest tonight. I don't know what day it is. I've been waiting for this day all week, Bill. My name is Paul Spencer. Of course, but I'm with the legend Bill Furman from Philly Press Box as usual. And special guest tonight, Matt Groth from UCF University, the Bulls, 2006, 2009. Matt, I'll say, how are you first?
Doing well.
Doing well. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Paul. Me and Matt have history.
I know. I heard all this. I mean, I heard some stories about you, Matt.
Matt,
Yeah.
Matt. I think I first saw Matt play up at the Duffield Sports Complex up here when he was about 10 or 12, maybe something like that. So,
Wow. Well, Bill, I know when we talked about Matt, you said there was some players that had that it factor. And Matt, I tell you, the first thing he said, Matt had that it factor from that age right there. I tell you, that's something that if Bill sees it, it's got to be true.
Well, I appreciate that. Bill's always been good to me over the years, so I'm not going to disagree with that either. I've always been told that I have that it factor, but at the same time, I feel like you got to have that to play football now.
Very true. Very true. I mean, Bill, I mean, what do you want to start with first? I just want to jump right into, I know, Matt is a diehard Bulls fan, of course, still, and season tickets every year, if I'm still correct, Matt?
Oh yeah.
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. You are part of the whatever they call it now, the collective or whatever in the world that title is with the NIL with USF as well, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's actually blown up like crazy over the last few months too. I remember sitting down with Corey, who is in charge of it all, and asking me to be a part of it and getting it up and going and everything. And I'll tell you what, it's been intense. I mean, Coach Golish coming in and now with the state of Florida being able to legally back their schools coaching wise is has changed things a lot. Like when I say a lot, I'm saying 4 months ago we were wondering if we were going to be able to keep this collective open and running and going because of trying to find where we're going to get money to pay certain kids or how we're going to do this and stuff, to now where we wanted to have $500,000 into the yearly collective, and we've blown that out of the water already. So it's going well.
Good. Hey Matt, I always use you for an example, but mainly because I know you and I followed your career at USF. From the whole NIL thing, those that follows the University of South Florida know that they didn't draw many people before the Mac Grothy era, if you will, started at USF under Coach Levitt. But while you were there, they filled the stadium that they never opened the upper deck on. Everybody had a number 8 jersey, and Mac Grothy's picture was on the billboards around town. In today's college football, Mac Grothy probably leaves there with $1 million.
Easily.
Is it good? I mean, obviously, you've been on both sides now. You're seeing guys get paid. You see what the school and the NCAA made national TV every week for USF in a couple of those years. Is it good?
I mean, it's not good for me.
Right.
That was one of the first things that Corey, who is, I'll tell you what, if you guys ever got a chance to meet the guy that wanted me to be a part of our NIL and collective, Corey is one hell of a human being, and he actually was one of the equipment managers when I was playing, and graduated with a degree in law and is part of Tallahassee and does a ton of stuff throughout the state. Real close with Will Weatherford. Obviously, the Weatherfords are big names in politics and and real close with USF football, and was able to help get everything to where we need it now. I mean, obviously we're going to the football season, so it's we're at a place where we need to be with that. But just to see how far along we've come over the last 4 or 5, 6 months with the NIL and the collective is mind blowing to me, and I'm a part of it and get to see it every day. And if people that have no idea about NIL or collectives or anything could see how much it's changed over the last 5 or 6 months, could see how much we've grown, not only as a collective, but a group to try to stay where we want to stay. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a ton of, over the next 2, 3, 4 years. Obviously, we're getting a new stadium. 2026, we're going to be playing full football on campus. I think that's a big deal for USF. But at the same time, there's going to be a huge change in college football in the next 2 or 3 years, and I think we're in a really good place with the NIL, with everything that's going on with it right now. Because, in my personal opinion, there's going to end up being 4 big juggernaut conferences, and there's not going to be 7, 8, 9, 10 little ones. There's just going to be 4 massive conferences. We're going to have 16 to 20 teams in each conference, and if you're not one of those 4 conferences, you're going to get left behind. And every time I look on the computer or look online, we're being brought up as one of those teams that are going to end up being in one of those 4. Who knows where we're going to end up, because obviously you see lately all these teams, the PAC and then the ACC, with especially Florida State trying to get out and do everything that they're trying to do, and then the PAC trying to get rid of teams. And I mean, Oregon has more money than God, and they're trying to get out of there. So I don't think anybody can accurately say where anybody's going to end up, but you want to be in one of those 4 super conferences that I think is inevitable.
Matt, I did have a question. Bill and I always talk about the NIL situation. The money is just truly insane right now for people that's not even throwing a pass in college right now. And really all sports. I mean, LSU has Angel Reese, billionaire who don't even want to school anymore because she's scared for her life. What factors into an NIL deal that you guys talk about? Is it ticket selling? Is it the it factor, like Bill said about you?
I mean, as of right now, I think in any sport, it's going to deal with a lot of it has to deal with that. I mean, you have to have that it factor, but also if people want to, you have to learn how to grow up. I feel like as a college kid nowadays, quicker than anybody else, because if you want to be, if you can't just come in and ask for, hey,
Sure.
I think I'm this caliber of a player, and I deserve this much money, because I've seen it a few times already with, and not just at USF, but people that I know and talk to that have said that they've had players that are like, hey, I want $10,000 a month, and if not, I'm going to leave. And they're like, see you later. And that's I think that's one thing that people don't understand when it comes to the NIL, is because they're like, oh, Alabama or Georgia or USC is just going to buy everybody. But it's just like everybody else. They only have so much money, and yeah, they might be able to get this person, but at the same time, there's another school that's going to be like, hey, we'll give you the same amount of money if you want to come here. Or I've seen people leave for less money, and that's that's not just USF. I've seen this just knowing and talking to people that I know that are old friends of mine, or players that I grew up with, that University of Florida players that have told me that, And we've lost people with trying to give them more money just because they thought they were in a better situation. And I think that's one thing that the NIL is getting frowned upon, is that, oh, everybody's just going to buy everybody. But I mean, at the end of the day, yes, money is money, but you're still going to want to go to the best situation for yourself.
Sure.
Right. Well, and and then from the player standpoint too, Matt, you end up like Spencer Rattler, who is an 18-year-old. He's thrown into a starting position, and they're booing him in his home stadium as an 18-year-old true freshman. And his wheels fell off, and he's going to recover. He's a good player. But man, you talk about having a kid having to grow up pretty quick. When you're getting booed out of your own stadium as an 18-year-old, that's you don't quite have thick skin at 18.
That's another thing that's changed a lot from over the last 20 years. I mean, it's social media will eat you alive nowadays.
They pick apart every pass you throw, don't they?
Everything. I mean, you can't make a joke on there without everybody seeing.
Right. Or like somebody's post that somebody thinks is inappropriate, and all of a sudden you're a bad guy because you clicked on a like button or something.
Yeah, there's you click on something wrong that they see a difference in opinion, then you're on the shit list basically. Now they're starting a petition, and that you're the worst guy in the world now, Matt.
Oh, I've been there, done that.
Hey, let's get on to talking about more fun stuff.
Definitely.
USF at Western Kentucky, Matt. We got to talk about this. We have our big 5 games that we've picked to discuss, but this is the Alex Golesh era beginning for USF. How do you like Coach, and what do you think the chances are going up there to play Western Kentucky?
Well, I mean, obviously the last 4, 5, 6 years have been down seasons for us, but Coach, I've gotten to talk to him a couple times, and honestly, I'm in I'm in love with Coach. He reminds me more of what I was a part of than anybody that I've ever talked to, and that's not taken away from any of the other coaches we've ever had at USF, but just he has that swagger and that will to win. When he talks to you, you can just feel it, that's all he cares about. He doesn't give a damn about what anybody thinks about him or his players or this school. He just wants to win, and we're seeing it real quick. I talked to this will blow your mind. I talked to some people. They had the USF had football luncheon 2 weeks ago, and with the USF luncheon, there's always a bunch of big donors there, and priority people, and the coach gets up there, and the cheerleaders come out, and they do all this rah stuff or whatever. But there's always a few players at each table, and one of the tables had a couple of big name kids that were sitting at their table, and I happen to know a couple of the donors that were sitting at that table, and they told me that they have learned more in the last 3 months than they have in the last 2 years at being at USF, and that hit hard, because just knowing how hard these kids are working, and obviously there's not a whole lot of people left from when I was there, but there's a couple of people like Jeremy Lees. He's the equipment manager who's been there since day one of USF football. When I talk to him, a lot of times late at night, laying in bed, I'll text him like, "Hey, how's camp going?" Or "How's spring going? How's summer going?" And he's like, the last couple of weeks is just like, he's like, it looks like when it's getting really good, and looks a lot like when I was there. He tries to explain it in my terms, because obviously I wasn't there for the last 14 years, but he doesn't think that we're going in the wrong step, that's for sure. So anytime you can hear something like that, it's exciting. Obviously, we're going into week 1 as an underdog. I think we're a 7.5-point underdog last time I checked. But and we're only projected to win 4 games this year. I would put my money on making the bowl game this year, even with some of the talent that is new and fresh coming in from Coach Golos this year.
Okay.
All right, take it away, Paul.
Well, I do have a question for you. Since we do the podcast over here, I do have a good friend from Western Kentucky, Marcus Thomas. He actually played for the Eagles a little bit. Bill, I think you know his name, correct?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yep. He was on our podcast a while back ago, and he told me about back in the day about the NIL situation. But the one thing I want to say to you is I love what you hear because I coach Pop Warner up here, and to me it's family first. I've got to know these parents, on first name basis as friends. And that's good. Like, they're bringing that back. And as you said, it seems like they're going back to the old days where it's strength, unity, and family to me. And that's something that can build camaraderie with a team. Is that what they're leaning toward doing first and foremost?
I believe so. And there's so much nowadays with college football that you have to have. But everything that I've talked to anybody who's involved with the program nowadays, it's a different feel than it has been the last 4 or 5 years, and I think you have to have that. I don't know if you guys watched the Swamp documentary yet, but
I didn't see it yet.
I didn't see it.
I need to see it.
I saw a bunch of people say that it was, they made Urban look out to be a saint and all this stuff, but I thought it was one of the best shows that I've ever seen, just because of the player situation, and you got to see, like, they might have made, Urban obviously had some run-ins over the last years, and leaving Florida, then coming back to Florida, and then leaving for Ohio State, but the way they did it with the players is what I think, when you watch it, pay attention to that, because that's how a team should be. And I grew up with a lot of those players. They won that national championship for Florida in 2008 and almost won another one in 2009. Obviously the Rainey and Pouncey twins. There's a ton of kids from Lakeland, and no one watching it, especially in Ma Black, he's a big part of that show, and watching how it is. You have to have that camaraderie and football, and I feel like everything that I'm seeing and hearing about USF football over the last few months, we're going to have that more than we have in a long time. And obviously, year 1 of any coach's new year is going to be tough to do anything, but I will be shocked if we don't make it to a bowl game this year, and then see big things over the next few years with Coach Golish.
Well, you heard it here first. If you're a betting man, book it. UCF is going to USF. There we go.
Yeah.
Is going
all
to
kinds of trouble at UCF.
I know.
Yeah, you don't
book
want
it.
to.
No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But you went to Lakeland, correct?
Lake Gibson.
Lake Gibson in Lakeland.
Okay, because I'm telling you right now, Lakeland is going down in 2 weeks because my St. Joe's Preps are going to beat them, okay?
Well, I have no problem with that. Lakeland is like my UCF, so.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, there we go. So you're on the St. Joe's wagon there, right?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Bill, you want to talk about some football here coming up tomorrow night?
Yeah, let's talk about it. The Gators, speaking of the Gators, they go to Utah, and Matt, we have a Lake Gibson guy in that game playing running back for Utah as well.
We do, and he might be the best player that's ever played at Lake Gibson, in my personal opinion. I've gone to over the before he graduated. I watched him play a few times, and he's a stud.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. Jalen Glover, Paul, is running back out at Utah. He's a sophomore.
Okay.
I don't even know,
He's
4,000 yards rushing, whatever it was.
Wow.
He was really good at Lake Gibson, and how he ended up from Lake Gibson to Utah, I'm not exactly sure.
no,
He's not a big kid,
Mhm.
no,
but
he's probably 5'6", 5'7", but kind of build wise reminds me of like Maurice Jones-Drew. I don't remember, but
Yep.
remember Sam. He has tree trunk legs, and my mom's a teacher at Lake Gibson, and she said that he was the nicest kid she's ever
Wow.
been around, and straight A student, graduated with like a 4.1, and decided to go to Utah, and
Yep.
could have gone wherever he wanted to, and he
Now,
went.
this is his first year starting at Utah, correct?
well, and I don't know that he's actually going to start. They got
Okay.
a 3-man stable out there, so
They do.
he did play a lot as a true freshman, but he is definitely going to get some time this year for sure. A lot.
Okay, that's a name we definitely have to look out for on that one.
Jalen Glover, Lake Gibson
Gotcha.
High School.
Yep. Well, in regards to this game here, I mean, Utah, is Cam Rising playing? That's the first question I want to ask. Is he playing, Bill? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I think he is. I
he?
don't
Okay.
know that not. He's a heck of a player.
He is. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you look at Bryson Barnes, their quarterback, and he's not really anything. I mean, he got maybe 15, 20 snaps last year total in the one game, actually. That's all he played the entire season.
Yeah.
So if Cam's not playing, that's a huge, missing void for Utah right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this game, I think Utah is going to blow Florida out. I mean, Florida's got a lot of work to do.
I think I disagree with you there, Bill.
Well, you disagreed with me last week.
I did. I
hit it pretty much.
Kim Camden actually says Cam Rising is out.
Well, now that makes it a little bit different, but
Bill, you can't go back on your words now.
Well, no, I still think Florida's got a lot of holes. They're
quarterback number one.
They're trying to
fill
it in with transfer portal guys and all that. They lost their quarterback,
but they do have a starting quarterback, Bill Graham Hurts, the Wisconsin transfer. He's a good kid. He can play ball. I mean,
he's okay.
He's okay. I didn't say he was elite, Bill. You know.
Yeah, Florida, he's okay.
Florida is still Florida, and I'm saying that more so because my wife is a huge Florida fan. And graduated from there, but I'm like blown out of the water that they're not even preseason ranked this year. Like, I honestly I understand that you lose a lot of kids, and you have, in my opinion, a quarterback that got drafted entirely too high from last year, but they are Florida. They're the University of Florida. They're good.
Yeah. But they were 5-6, I believe it was last year. Didn't go to a bowl game. They're going to Salt Lake City for an opener on Thursday night on national TV against the team that won the pack and beat USC twice. I'm going Florida. I'm going Utah big.
Big.
Wow. 21 big.
21. Wow.
21 big.
Oh, I think they're like I'm a big, I think Florida's 6.5 dog, 7 dog, and 21. Ooh.
I did think Rising was playing when I came up with that 21, but since you're not letting me back down from that, I'm going to stay with my 21. Florida's not winning this game.
You're going to stay with the 21, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the line, Bill, I mean, Utah is only a 4.5 favorite. That's it.
4.5?
4.5 favorite now, yes. The over-under is 44. Utah is a minus 4.5, yeah. Mm-hmm. As of right now.
Nope.
Bill,
I'm holding my guns.
You're going to hold your guns. All right, you know what, Matt? Give me a score of this game, man. What do you think, since we're on the Florida wagon here, I think I might just take Florida outright. I have a feeling, just like you said. Bill, I'm going against the grain here. I am going with Florida outright.
Matt can't even do that.
My wife's not outside the door when I give it 34-24 Utah.
All right, so you got a 10-point swing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna be the underdog here. I'm gonna be like the lone wolf. I'm still gonna say Florida wins this. I just had that feeling. I think Florida's gonna shock the world. Utah yes, they're home on a Thursday night season opener. I'm going to flip it here. I'm just going to take Utah for. I think Graham Mertz is going to showcase run the show out there. I think he's going to be okay. I really do.
Well, and I will
plus,
say
plus
this:
Cam's not playing.
I do like Billy Napier. I think he's going to get it
yes.
together.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I don't think they're ready yet.
Mm-hmm. Florida will play their first non-conference road game out of the state since 1991. That's an amazing stat. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Jeez, that's all right. So, Bill, you're going to go to Utah here. Bill's got an outright disgusting win here by 21. Matt's got it about 10 points. I'm just going to go with. I'm going to say a 34-31 Florida win. I'm just going to go against the grain here.
34. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to start the season off with a bang here. Why not?
All right.
So, Bill, what game? Oh, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
I can see that happening. So that's why I said that 34-24. I think there's going to be. I mean, Utah has been one of those teams where you never know what's going to happen every year. Obviously, they're preseason ranked to way up. What are they? Eighth going preseason.
Yeah,
and then
up there.
Billy Napier, like you were saying, is one hell of a coach, and this team's not even preseason ranked. So you never know. It's the University of Florida.
Kid knows Utah by 20.
Nah, it's the University of Florida. I mean, you can never go against one of the. There's like 5 or 6 teams in the country where you can never doubt. I saw somebody the other day said that Alabama might not win more than 9 games this year. I'm like, it's Nick Saban in Alabama.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. All right, let's go, Paul. Who we got?
Well, you pick it, Bill, since I'm still, being the underdog here. Why don't you pick the game next, wherever you want to go?
Right,
I'll probably disagree.
Let's go with maybe a lesser game to some of the bigger games. Let's go Colorado TCU.
Ooh.
Deion Sanders takes his fresh team. Another Lake Gibson guy in that game too, Matt Grothy.
Yeah.
Xavier Weber and Jimmy Horn.
Cormani McLean.
Yep. And I don't know if I'm on the Deion Sanders bandwagon yet.
Me neither.
You want to talk about somebody by 21? TCU by 21. If you want me to give you my personal opinion.
Yeah. Wow. Even with the redshirt junior starting at quarterback, Chandler Morris.
TCU has been one of the best recruiting teams over the last 4 or 5 years. They are always quiet and they always start off well. And I think there's just been so much drama with Colorado that I will be shocked if Colorado keeps it close.
Okay. Yeah, me too. 13-2, the Horned Frogs last year. Now they did lose their quarterback.
Sure. Max
but
Dugan.
I didn't know this. Maybe you guys did. Chandler Morris is expected to be the starting quarterback for TCU. He was actually the starter last year and lost his job because he was injured. I did not know that.
At Oklahoma, yes.
Yeah, so he's back. They're 13-2. Sonny Dykes does a good job. Deion's got a show. He's done a lot of talking. He's got a show, and see if he can make all this happen. I just don't see it happening this soon. I don't see it happening on the road at TCU against a really good team.
I agree. Now, Matt, I wanted to ask you, since you're down there, in your land down there, the Bulls land, Xavier Weber and Jimmy Horn, familiar with them?
Jimmy Horn, for sure.
Now, they're starting on Colorado this year.
Yeah, I know. I talked to quite a bit to Jimmy when he was here. And I mean, you got to do what you want to do when it comes to what you want to do in college football or in your own life. And Jimmy's always been a great human being to me. And I've literally have had multiple conversations on the phone with him. And last year before he left, actually had him on a show that we did for the NIL. So, I wish nothing but the best for him, but it sucks to see a player like his caliber. I mean, he was one, top 3 player on our team just to leave. I wish him nothing but the best.
Right.
And Paul, I mentioned McLean, another Lake Gibson guy. So we're blown up this week. He played for Lake Gibson as a junior. He transferred to that other school that me and Matt don't really like to play his senior year over there. Number one recruited defensive back in the country.
Bill, I was say that wasn't he the number one back in the country?
Yeah, and he was committed to Miami. He changed that when he got a little sniff of the Dion. He's expected to go out there and start as a true freshman. He's supposed to be the deal. We'll find out pretty quick, I think, come Saturday.
I agree. I mean, I was just looking at something earlier today, Bill. We talked about the transfer portal. The biggest one, of course, is Shedeur Stevens and the Henry kid coming out of Jackson State as well. But I didn't realize this. They have 9 starters on offense that are from the transfer portal and 8 defensive starters from the transfer portal on this year's roster starting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no continuity or, like family in this team. You're going through preseason. Yes, you play the spring game, but how fast can you gel as a team? I mean, that's interesting.
And I have mixed emotions about Dion. I've seen a lot of the clips about him, and he's always, in my mind, saying and doing the right things with his players, trying to get them to do the right things and this and that. But then, the flip side is he tells everybody that's on the roster at Colorado, go find another place to play.
Yes.
I'm bringing my guys in, and basically runs them all out and brings in whatever you just said, 17 starters from someplace else. So, I mean, that's not the way you do it. But flip side, he's holding his players accountable, the ones that are there. So, I want to see how this plays out. And it's always tough when your kid's playing quarterback for you, too. I mean, that's not going to be an easy thing for him to deal with unless the kid's an absolute lights out superstar.
Yeah, there was an interview. I forgot who it was. Just a local interviewer, like from the media out there in Colorado. They did question him, Bill, about that. He was like, Coach Sanders, since we already know who the starter is, we've already marked him. We can pencil, Shedeur in. He stopped him right there, and he's like, wait a minute. Just because he's my son doesn't mean he's a starter. He has to earn his, time on the field, which I did respect in a way. Was that the right thing to say? Yes, but we have to see more of Dion, Coach Prime, as he calls himself, on the field. I mean, we can't just – if he beats TCU, okay, the hype's going to be incredible. We know that. But give me 3 or 4 games, go on a run, win this Big 12 possibly. Let me know what you can do then.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not big on the Coach Prime either. It's Coach Sanders. It's, some head coaches want you to call them by their first name. That's fine. But you're not the brand.
Exactly. And that's what bothers me, Bill. He wears that Prime, Coach Prime, and he has his own Prime brand where he gives his players that stuff too. I'm like, wait a minute, come on. It's not about you. You preach family, Bible, and everything here every day of your life. Well, let's do that on the, do that throughout here. It's not Coach Prime. It's the Colorado Buffaloes.
Right. Yeah. But, so we'll see. We'll see. But I'm with Matt. I'm going TCU big in this game.
All right, well, give me a score here. What Matt? Bill, you went 21 with Utah here. What's big? I mean, can we get any bigger here?
38-14.
All right, okay, 24 points. Okay, what about you, Matt?
49-21.
Wow, 28 points. I'm going to go right in between. I'm going to say 44-20, 24-point win. So we're all unanimous on TCU here.
All right.
Sounds good.
Let's go to our next one. Who do we have? We're going to save the 2 biggies for the
Sounds good. What is the big one? What is the big one, Bill?
Well, the big one, I think, is LSU, FSU.
Okay. I thought you were going to go somewhere else.
Virginia.
There it is.
But that's Saturday. But Sunday, we'll go LSU, FSU. But what was the third game we talked about?
How about we do North Carolina, South Carolina?
North Carolina, South Carolina.
Since you already mentioned
that Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Drake May versus Spencer Rattler here. I mean, prize possession NFL draft, number 1 next year possibly, versus a kid that got beat out, transferred, doesn't look good. Can he live up to the hype in Spencer Rattler? What do you guys say?
Who you like, Matt?
I don't know. It's I mean, it's in-state rivalry. Obviously, it's always Spencer it's been up and down over. I don't know. I couldn't even that game's going to be a coin flip in my opinion.
Okay.
It looks like there's 2.5 point
Yeah.
spread in that game.
Yeah, I like so basically. And where's it at? Is it played
It's out South Carolina?
It's at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Coin flip game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go South Carolina in this game, and only because I kind of feel like at some point, and maybe it's now, Spencer Rattler is going to break out and going to be a player. He showed some signs of it last year. He was all that when he came into Oklahoma. Sooner or later, it's going to come out, and I'm going to say it's going to start coming out this year. I'm going to take South Carolina. Maybe they'll win this game by 10.
Okay. Matt, which way are you going to lean? I know you got a coin flip there, but which way are you going to lean here if we had to pull your arm here?
Well, I think Bill just talked me into. I would love to see him play well and ball out. And I mean, obviously, he's had that name since he came into college football. So, yeah, let's go with there. I'll stick with the 10-point favorite too.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's keep it unanimous here. I'm going to go with South Carolina as well. I watched Spencer Rattler, as a freshman coming in. We've seen what he's been through. Not saying he's the most elite quarterback, but his last 4 games, he played pretty damn good last year. At the end of the season, and he earned that right. So I hope he continues that little sophomore season at South Carolina. I think it's going to be about a 10-point win. I know they have Drake May, but listen, one man can't build a team at quarterback, and Spencer Rattler has that team. I think there's 7 seniors are coming back on that team on the offensive side. So I'm going to go with South Carolina here. I'm going to say it's a little shootout. I'm probably going to go 31. I'm going to go 31-24, 7-point win.
All right.
Pretty close.
Let's go to West Virginia at Penn State Saturday night, national TV, stripe out game at Beaver Stadium. Did you guys ever see not a stripe out, a helmet stripe game?
Isn't this something to do with the yard lines or something?
You see the stadium behind me is a full whiteout, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's from the 40 to the 40 across both sides is going to be blue, and the rest is going to be white. It's a helmet stripe out game.
Okay.
Because they can only do this 3 times apparently. Mm-hmm. So they're doing a helmet stripe for national TV. They're doing a whiteout for national TV against Iowa, and then they're doing a full stripe out every other section later in the season for somebody, Michigan or somewhere.
Bill, I want to ask Matt a question real quick. When you go to like you ever been to Happy Valley and played, Matt, first of all?
Well, I was just fixing to say, has anybody ever been to Penn State?
I have been a ton of times.
Well, I was recruited pretty heavily by them as a safety. And me and my dad flew out there one year, right after my junior year to go out there and speak with coach. And my dad got pulled over on the way into the stadium, but we were in the middle of, he ended up getting a ticket in the middle of Pennsylvania. It was hilarious. But
you didn't pull your card there and say, I'm Matt Groth. I'm one of the safeties here coming in. I'm a high recruit. Let him go. You didn't pull that card, Matt?
Guard, I was just sitting in the passenger seat trying to get to where I'm trying to go. My dad had to go all that, but Happy Valley is out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm 45 minutes from Beaver Stadium.
I mean, I was like, "Are you sure we're going the right way?" And all of a sudden, you come over this hill, and it's like kingdom, and it blew my mind. But I tell you what, that was 2003 or 2004. So it's been 20 years. I can only imagine what their facilities look like now, because back then they were incredible. So and that stadium is.
But Matt, does it play mind games with you where you see like a whiteout or the helmet stripe game here? What are you thinking as a quarterback when you're on the field? Does that play visually to you like a downfall, or does it mess with your impairment?
I mean, yes and no. I don't know how to explain that. Like when you're walking out on the field, you see, because we actually played West Virginia one year up at West Virginia, and they had a whiteout, and walking out, you're like, holy cow, this is crazy, and you know, the stadium is packed, and the whole stadium is just everybody's matching colors and loud and proud. But I feel like if you're a if football is what you love to do, once you get out there on the field, none of that shit matters anymore. I mean, we went out there and we actually beat West Virginia that year. That was, God, I don't even remember. That was either my freshman or sophomore year. Freshman year we beat West Virginia at West Virginia.
Mhm.
But I mean, once you get out there, you kind of forget about it all. And I mean, obviously, noise and don't get me wrong. Noise plays a big factor
Sure.
in what you're trying to do on the field. But if you're prepared and ready to go, it's anybody can win a football game, and especially in college football.
Sure.
Even I mean, obviously, everybody wants to talk about how the NFL is. You know, if you're an NFL player and if you're on an NFL team, you're the elite of the elite. But I mean, how many college football is something special and something different. I mean, you never know.
The atmosphere in
Mhm.
itself is just
It,
incredible.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's a different kind of football.
Definitely
Absolutely.
is. Yeah, college to me is where it's at. I mean, I can this weekend. I hate to say it, I won't be watching college. I'm going to record every game because I have to go to a wrestling event this weekend, a pay per view with Dave Yarnell in Pittsburgh. But I'll be recording every game, so I will not be on ESPN looking at scores or anything until I get home. You know, because it's something different watching it live. It's just so what you want to see. But Bill, let's get back to this game. I mean, new quarterback Drew Allard here. All I can say is this Penn State is wow, running back city.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They've got 2,000-yard guys. They've got a
Mhm.
handful of receivers. They finally have their offensive line
Yes.
talent that's matching their running back talent. They always seem to be one click off. You
Mhm.
know, the O line would be good when they had young backs, and
Yes.
then the other way around. This year they kind of have it together. I think they're really going to be good. They've got an All-American on the offensive line. They got an All-American in the defensive backfield. They got
Mhm.
strong linebackers again, which has been a while since they've had a stack of great ones. They've had individual ones like Micah Parsons
Mhm.
and those, but they've got a pile of good linebackers. They're going to be really good, and I think West Virginia is in big trouble come Saturday night.
Yeah, I agree. Matt, what do you think?
I mean, I definitely think Penn State's going to win the game, but I mean, like I was saying earlier, college football is college football. West is a good team. This is going to be. I think it'll be a good game up until at least halftime, and then Penn State runs away with it by 17 to 20 points.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think the big thing about this game is if West Virginia could pull this off, it makes their season on opening day.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, if Penn State were to
Oh.
lose this game,
Mhm.
I mean that's really would ruin their season on opening night. So West Virginia is going to come in sky high. Whether they got enough to do anything with it, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But they're going to come to play. That's for sure.
Well, the line is minus 20.5, Bill. Are we taking that line there for Penn
Oh
State,
yeah,
which I believe
we're
you are?
taking that. I was going to go 40. I was going to go 49-10.
Oh,
it's
39 points.
8 points.
20.5 points, Matt. Mhm. Yeah. Oh, we lost
Whoop,
Matt for a
there
second. We
you
lost Matt for a second. He'll be there. He
go.
is right there. Back there he goes. All right. Man, you scared yourself on that one, Matt, didn't you? I mean,
Apparently, I didn't realize that. Holy cow! I mean, Penn State's Penn State, but at the same time, Penn State always. I'm not going to piss Bill off.
no, please do, Matt. Please do. I hear it every week when it's just Bill and I. Okay.
I feel
Well,
like
James Franklin manages to lose one of those big games. That's
yeah,
for sure. That's what you were going to say.
you never know what team you're going to get from them. I feel like every year it's like they one week
Right.
they look incredible, and then the next week you're like, who the hell is this?
Right.
And the thing is, I
And
mean,
I think
West Virginia's coming
they
in.
have enough talent this time around to overcome that. The other
Yeah,
thing
I agree.
they have coming back this year is they have the same coordinators. They've been
Mhm.
running through offensive coordinators for 5 straight years, they all end up head coaches someplace else. But while you have a Sean Clifford who's trying to play for 5 years and he's got 5 different coordinators running 5
Right.
different systems, it's not easy to do. And they do have both coordinators back this year, which is I think it's going to help them a good bit too.
Agree. I agree. I think Penn State runs about I think it's going to be close in the first half, closer than we really think it is. I think it's going to be maybe a 7 to 10 point swing in the first half. Then I think the horses come out in the second half for Penn State, and that's where they put the route on. I'm going to go 39-13.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're going to go there. But I want to ask you guys, and you guys down in Florida, what is Keontae Allen like running back, being an IMG? What was he like?
He's a monster.
Monster. That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Monster.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, him and Nick Singleton are in the same backfield. If they were both, in a single backfield by themselves, they both gained almost 1,000 yards, split in time. And they're best friends. So they like each other. They're happy with what they got going on. But he's a beast.
Yeah, I think Penn State routes him. I think it all falls on Drew Aller a lot, this year. Finally, it's his first year. Everybody was calling for him last year. Get Clifford out, get Allard in here. Let's start their new regime now. Let's do it. Bill, what is he? He's a sophomore, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so he has 3 more years.
Sophomore.
3 more years. Okay, all right,
yep.
Cool. All right, so Matt, what's your score here? I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's going to be close going into halftime, but Penn State's going to pull away with it. I'll say 42-20.
Okay, so you're going to cover him as well. Bill's going to cover him. I got him at, I think, 18. I don't think it's going to be you know what? I am going to give him that cover. I think I'm going to take the cover to boost the points up. I'll do that. I think Penn State comes out and just goes crazy, especially being the helmet game at home. Why not? It's at home. But West Virginia, it is their Super Bowl. Knock out Penn State, and your season's set. You never know. Just like you said, Matt, it's college football.
Yeah.
LSU, FSU in Orlando.
Good game.
What a way to start a Sunday night game there.
Yes, I can't wait for this game.
What do you guys think, Matt?
Yeah, Matt, you go first on this one.
Well, I grew up a Florida State fan, so growing up watching them play, and then going to USF, and then after everything, and seeing how they've gone over the years. But I don't know. I feel like they are really, really close. In my opinion, and if I'm wrong here, then I'm wrong, but I feel like they're going to end up being one of the top 4 teams that make it to the college football playoff. So I think Florida State's going to be really good this year.
Do you believe in their quarterback?
I believe in their whole system. I absolutely love the head coach that they have and everything that he's trying to do. And the recruiting classes they've had the last couple of years have just been monstrous. I think Florida State wins by 17.
Oh, goodness. Wait, I think I just lost connection there for a second there, Matt.
LSU minus 2.5. How about that?
I just feel like Florida State has been really, really close. And I have a feeling this year that they're just going to be really, really good. It surprised a lot of people this year. And especially big first game, big platform, obviously going to be the prime show. I'm going to say, let's go 38-20.
Wow. That is a 20.5 point swing minus the LSU 2.5 here. That's a 20-point swing there, Matt.
I love Florida State this year, and I don't know. They've everything that they have, and they have some players that I've followed over the years that the last year or two are on their team that I know that are starting this year. Just knowing people that know them, that I feel like they're going to be really good this year.
The one person that stands out to me on Florida State is Johnny Wilson, 6'6" wide receiver. I've never seen anything like this, Matt. Never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a monstrous kid because I mean, Imagine trying to guard a 6'6" kid that could just
I mean, corners are what heavy, high at 6'1", and this kid's
yeah
6'6" with a gazelle reach. Like it's high point the ball. You don't have a chance. You don't have a
no.
chance.
But I mean, I'm telling you, just the recruiting classes they've had lately, some of the
Yes.
kids that they're bringing in are insane. I absolutely love Florida State this year.
Okay. Okay. Bill, what's your score since Matt has them in an outright, clean house? This, what, LSU don't get off the bus. Don't even worry about it.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do like Florida State. I think they're really good. I like their quarterback. I like what Mike Norvell's done up there. I think if there's any one weakness, and I know they're trying to patch it up with some recruits and some portal guys, is the offensive line. Is they lost some guys to the league and to graduation, but they're loaded. They're loaded with athletes, and it took them a little while, and they wanted to run Norvell out of town too, but he's got it going on. I think they're good. I'm not a huge fan, as you know, Paul, of Brian Kelly.
Oh, me either.
So
certain reasons.
We'll see. Now LSU certainly athletic too, and they bring good players. They got a transfer quarterback from Arizona State.
Yes.
Who's good. But I think it probably this is a Florida State home game in Orlando, but I think it probably hurts Florida State to not be playing this at Doak Campbell. Just from the Doak Campbell environment, which is crazy place to watch a big game. But I like Florida State in this game. I like Florida State. I don't know to go to the Final Four, but I think they're going to be really good. They're going to be in the hunt all the way through the season. So I'm going to go Florida State in this game. I'm going to say I think I'll say 34-28.
Pretty close. A 6-point swing there. Okay. I'm going to go. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. LSU's defense is very stout every year. We know that. And Florida State, I mean, their defense is set. The only downfall is, like you said, Bill, their offensive line is like a patch system, basically, through the transfer portal. Who can play, who can't, fill them in, whatever. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I'm going to go 23-20 Florida State. I think it's going to be a nail biter coming in. I really do.
Wow. There aren't many of them games left anymore.
No, I mean, we haven't seen one of those in a while, Bill,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, before we get out here, I do want to ask you, Matt, and Bill, I didn't even tell you about this. Give me your top four right now. As Matt already has Florida State in there. Who's your other three teams, Matt? Early season. This way we can revisit this one day.
Ooh.
You weren't prepared for that, were you?
No. Well, I know two of them off the bat, Alabama and Georgia. I'm trying to figure out the fourth.
Alabama coming in as maybe a 10-1 team. They get in again.
I mean, it's Nick Saban. You can't. It's Alabama. They're always going to be in the hunt. I was going to say Ohio State, but I hate Ohio State. So I don't know.
Well, you got three teams. You got Bama, Georgia, and Florida State. Who's that fourth team there?
I guess I don't want to say Ohio State, but I'll say Ohio State.
Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and FSU. Okay, Bill, you know what? I'm going to put you on a spot here. I think I know one of your teams already.
I'm going to go Georgia. They're the king until they're not the king.
True.
I'm going to go with Alabama because they're the second king until they're not the second king. Until they get knocked out. I'm going to go with the winner of the Big Ten.
Who's that, Bill? Who's that, Bill? Who's that?
It's going to be Penn State this year, but it could be Michigan. It could be Ohio State. Whoever comes out of the Big Ten is going to be the one that is going to go to that. And I'm going to reach out a little bit on this. I think I'm going to go with USC.
I almost said that.
Wow.
I almost said that instead of Ohio State, but I don't find that one either.
Okay, yeah. Mine has to be Georgia, just like Bill said. They're the king. They own the crown. You got to knock them off the pedestal first. And it's when was the last time they lost? Honestly, I'm going to take Alabama out of the mix. I'm going to put Bill. I really hate to say this, I really do. Don't timestamp this or anything, Bill. But I'm going to go Penn State as one of my teams.
I did timestamp that.
I bet you did, Bill. You know what? I
Nailed
bet
down.
you did. I bet you did. It'll be all over the damn internet, you know?
That's right.
Oh, goodness. Florida State, I love Florida State as well. I really do. I think their schedule, if they can get past LSU, I think they have not a cupcake schedule, but I think it's an easier schedule where they can win out. My other team is the team I thought last year was going to be a top 4 team, USC, but 2 losses to Utah. Utah's not built the way they are last year, so Oregon could be the possible, and even Washington as well with Penix out there. I'm going to say USC as well. That's my 4 teams.
I got to check something out right quick here, just because of a comment you just made there. Hang on.
What are you looking for? The timestamp button, Bill?
No, I got that. Got that already. Florida State, LSU at Clemson in week 4.
Well, Clemson's not as good as they were, Bill. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is not coming back out.
No, and they're at Florida the last week of the season, so they do have a couple games that are on the road that are probably going to be pretty tough games. I wouldn't say they have the LSU, Southern Miss, Boston College, and at Clemson, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke, at Wake, at Pittsburgh, Miami at home, North Alabama at home, and at Florida.
Florida
I don't say that's I wouldn't call that a cupcake schedule with a couple games on the road at Clemson and at Florida and LSU at neutral.
True. That's true. Yeah, I agree with that one, Bill. But I still have Florida State in there. The last thing before we get out here, give me your early Heisman Trophy winner. To me, everybody laughed at me when I said Deuce Vaughn last year. The only downfall, Kansas State, little school. The yardage he had, yards per carry, the yak, everything that he had, incredible. But who is your Heisman Trophy dark horse early in the season?
This year, I have no idea. I feel like there's so many players that I'm not even going to jump on that one. I'll let Phil take this one. The Heisman every year, I feel like I was saying earlier, it's college football, and you never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, there's every year there's players that come in each and every year that have all this hype. And then all of a sudden, there's a couple of them that come out of nowhere. I mean,
great, yeah.
And it's like that every year. So I've never been a fan of trying to predict who's going to win the Heisman this year, because it and a lot of it depends on how your team does too. Obviously,
True.
I mean, you could be there's been years where I'm like, that's not the best player in college football.
Very true.
But they lost 3 or 4 games and they didn't win the trophy. So,
which brings me to a good point, Matt. I mean, Marvin Harrison, wide receiver, Ohio State stud, first maybe 5 pick in the NFL next year. But as Bill said, Kyle McCord starting quarterback. It means a lot who's throwing the ball to as well if you can produce the numbers. But what do you think? Can a wide receiver with great numbers win the Heisman Trophy? Because we know it's this, quarterback award.
I mean, I would love to see it, and I mean, I obviously wouldn't hate it. I feel like, obviously, everybody's saying that doesn't have the quarterback that he needs to win him that, but it's one of the top 5 schools in the country, so.
And the guy that's going to start for him, Matt, I don't know if you know this, is his high school quarterback.
St. Joe's Prep.
At St. Joe Prep. So him and Harrison both went to the same high school, and now McCord was named a starter just yesterday at Ohio State. He's a sophomore, Paul? Redshirt sophomore?
I believe he's a redshirt sophomore. Yes, he redshirted his freshman year.
So he will be throwing to him.
I did not know that. Well, there's your Heisman Trophy winner, Marvin Harrison.
Well, you know what? I'm a St. Joe's Prep guy. I believe in St. Joe's Prep. I've watched every game, pretty much until I moved up here. Only week I don't like Ohio State is when they play my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, of course. But I don't know. I don't think Kyle McCord's the real deal. I'm sorry to say that, Prep people out there, but I don't think he is. With Devin Brown, Bill. I think it's going to be a quarterback carousel with that the Ohio State team this year. I really do.
Well, and it could be. I mean, he said he named McCord the starter, but he said Brown's going to play. So whether they're going to get Brown on the field in some other situation, formations, package, whatever, but McCord's the guy that's going to at least take the first snap of the game.
There we go. But Bill, do you have an early Heisman?
I think Harrison's the best player in the country.
I do too.
I don't know that gets you the Heisman. I think he's the best player in the country. Williams out at USC, who won the Heisman last year. Williams, right? My mind go blank.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb, yeah. But I don't think they're going to let him win a second one. It kind of doesn't work that way. But he's a great player too, and he's going to be good out there. So those would be my first couple right out of the box.
I agree. It's so wide open every year. You never know. Just like Matt said, it's every week pretty much. One down game could take you right out of the Heisman Trophy candidacy. So
that's
one
right.
good game could boost you all the way up top. We didn't know who he was. Anthony Richardson last year, just came from nowhere, and he's in the balloting basically. Nobody really even mentioned his name coming in.
Yep.
So Bill, anything else we want to get out of here before we already get out of here? We want to talk about?
I think I'm good. We'll cover our defensive guys in another week. It's been fun having Matt join us, and
definitely.
We'll hold that defensive All-American thing till next time. What do you think?
Definitely sounds good, Matt. Don't be a stranger. Join us anytime. You're more than welcome. You're part of the family here. We love talking to you, and it was great knowledge. Hearing you I'm an old school guy. I'm 52, and I like when I talk to Bill. We reminisce about the back days of. We just talked about the greatest running backs in history, Bill, but through text. Bill's like, what about these guys? So like, yeah, 100% correct.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Who's the greatest running back of all time?
Well, a guy put a list together, Matt.
He did.
And I don't know who he was or whatever, but it ended up on Facebook somewhere. And this was college, and he didn't have Barry Sanders. He didn't have Herschel Walker, and he didn't have O.J. Simpson on his list.
Yes.
I say, throw the list out. It's meaningless.
I forgot who his Bill was number one, Bill. I got to look that back.
Reggie Bush was number one. Michael Vick was his number two, I think.
Yes, and then Adrian Peterson was three. Yes,
Adrian Peterson, and all good players. But football didn't start in 1990. It started a little bit before that, or 2000, whatever. But you can't have a list and not have Barry Sanders on it. Talking about running backs.
Yeah, Barry would be my number one 100 times out of 100 times.
Okay. Well, Matt, I got to do one more question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's not about questions for you, and I do have something I want to ask you. Give me your favorite quarterback all time and your favorite quarterback that you idolized in college.
Favorite quarterback all time?
Yes.
Growing up was easily Brett Favre.
Wow.
Gunslinger. Favorite quarterback today of all time is Tom Brady.
Brady.
I'm a huge Brady fan, and I don't know if I'm a Brady fan off the field, but I love how he reminds me of myself, where you can sit there and be this type of person before the game starts, but as soon as the game starts,
flip the switch, huh?
And you always have seen it his whole career. And I mean, everybody always talks about, obviously Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. But I think that he just has that, to be a quarterback in the National Football League, you have to have, you're missing something, but you also have something else that somebody else doesn't have. And if you're going to be extremely good in the NFL, and anybody that you see that has done well has that, like obviously Brady, but then when you sit there and see Patrick Mahomes, like he goes out there before the game and he sounds like Kermit the Frog, but then he gets on the field and he's talking mad smack to everybody. Like, you just have to have that I'm going to bury you in the ground type of mentality as a quarterback.
Agree.
And all those great ones have it, but you also have to have fun at the same time. You see him come off the field, and I think
Brady, there he is.
Brady might be one of the ones that I don't I've never seen just come out and laugh and have a good time after everything until the game's over. And I think that's why he stands out more than anybody. I mean, obviously, Favre, you can go on YouTube and watch 10 million clips of him having a good old time during the game.
Right.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, you probably appreciate this. There's a podcast out that the Kelsey brothers do.
Oh, I love it.
New
Yes.
Heights. You watch it?
Watch it all the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So did you happen to see the Gronk interview they did not long ago, and they were talking about him playing with Brady?
No,
and you haven't seen that?
No.
Check it out, or there's clips.
It was good
about it. It was really good. But
it was
one of the to your point. Gronk says that Brady just was owning, and he was like, "Man, what's with this dude? Man, I'm here to play football. This guy's on me like beating me." And here, Brady had watched Gronk's college films, knew in his mind how great this kid could be. Gronk didn't know how great he could be. Brady knew how great he could be and just kind of dogged him until he got it, till he figured out that I need to do what this guy tells me and I need to learn this game and I got a chance to be really good at it. And but it all part of the Brady preparation, like you say, and Brady had no problem with telling everybody what they needed to be doing because he worked that hard.
And I think you need that, as a quarterback being, the command of your team, the field general. That goes a long way to see Brady say that. And he's seen what he's seen in the kid, Gronk. I mean, even Little League, Bill, we talked about the it factor, you see it in some kids. My tailback is 13 years old. And I told this kid, number one family, number one grades, keep it going. All this, I see something in you, high school, college, keep it going. You see that. And even his dad asked me, why are you so hard on my son? I'm like, the kid has it, man. I'm telling you right now, keep pushing your kid, but make sure, number one, first and foremost, keep pushing him, but make sure he has fun doing what we're doing. Number one, don't push him into something. A year from now, you don't want to play football. You never know, but make sure he has fun first. Matt, I know you had fun playing football.
If I could tell anybody, that's funny. You just brought that up because people always ask me like, why did I love football or why was I good at football and all this? I'm like, because I had fun doing it. And I think if you're not having fun playing football, then you shouldn't be, or any sport. If you don't love something, don't do it. And I feel like you get to a certain point where if you're good at something and you love it, you can try. You just go from there and you just try to perfect it. And I think a lot of the top players that have ever played football they were always talented and they loved doing what they were doing, but they were the best of the best because not only did they love doing it, not only they had fun doing it, but they perfected it.
Yep. And I think too, the other thing in our, this isn't the right thing to say anymore in our politically correct society that we seem to want to live in, winning is fun. Winning is fun. Losing is not fun. And when you work, Matt, and you do the things you're talking about and you're successful and your team's winning, you're playing well, winning is fun.
Yep.
Don't let anybody tell you otherwise and hand you a trophy at the end of the year.
Bill, I have one more question for Matt. I want to hear a personal opinion here. Bill, you as well. I coach Pop Warner up here. I coach 11 and 13s. We went 11-1 last year. Got beat before we went down to Florida for regionals. At the trophy ceremony, at our own presence, our own team organization, everybody got a trophy. They gave me, the coach's trophy, which is a nice trophy, 3 foot tall. I grabbed and, said my speech, congratulations, just make sure we come back next year stronger than ever. That's the goal, one team, one goal. Pop Warner Championship in Florida. That's my goal. Was my son wanted in 09 with Frankfurt Chargers. And as I'm walking by, I put my trophy in the trash. What would you say as a player to see your coach put the trophy in the trash and says, next year is what I want. I don't want this participation trophy. What would you say to me? Would you quit? Would you come and just let me know? I did that last year.
That's crazy.
I I know I'm a bad person.
No, no. I mean, I personally love it. I don't think that like we were just talking about in today's society. It's like I feel like the only people that should get a trophy is the team that wins it all,
Thank
and
you.
and it's not like that anymore. And like Bill, to go off your point, like if you get on my Twitter page, the first thing that says under my caption is "Winning is everything,"
Mhm.
because winning gives you everything. I
Yep.
mean, nobody's happy if you're a loser, and you shouldn't be rewarded if you're a loser. I wouldn't.
Agree. That's what I said. I was like, you guys want to play a participation trophy? You go right ahead. Little Johnny, you get one. You haven't played in a snap all season. You get one too. Why not?
Yeah.
Winning,
But
winning.
but I would not have thrown it in the trash can
I actually did. I actually
in
did.
front of everybody.
I did. I was so
wouldn't have
pissed
done
off,
that.
Bill. I
Yeah.
was so pissed off. Well, it led to a good season. We're 1-0 right now. The first game, 42-6, and that was at halftime. They submission ruled us, where we
Yeah.
couldn't even have the ball. So it worked out pretty damn well.
Yeah.
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 I got a speaking of before we get off, I got a funny story about my first year of you were talking about Little League football. First game I ever played football, we lost 36-0 to the junior Packers. And
You still remember this, Matt? It's in your heart. It's in your heart, isn't it?
I remember everything about this year. I was a huge Emmitt Smith fan growing up, and wanted to be a running back. And we did this like gauntlet of drills, and afterwards I had a guy named Coach Kinney come up to me and say, "Hey, I want you to be our quarterback for the Junior Jaguars." And I was like, "Quarterback, okay." And then that's kind of about the time where I fell in love with Brett Favre, because then I started watching stuff about that and watching just the way he played. But we lost 36-0 our very first football game ever, and then we won our next 5 games, and then ended up playing the Packers again and lost 18-0. So here we are. We're cutting down the deficit or whatever. We ended up winning out the season. We go 10-2, and then we go to the championship game and play the Packers in the championship game, and it's 0-0 with 6 seconds left. And Bill, you actually probably remember Scooter. Yeah, graduated 2003 from Lake Gibson. Was on
Scooter Byers.
Yep. And he was on the junior Packers, and he was their running back. And it was 0-0, and it was 6 seconds left, and they were right around the 50-yard line. And they did a little pitch option to him, and he went 50 yards to score a touchdown as the game. But there was a penalty that got called back, and they ran the exact same play, and he went for 48 yards, and we tackled him on the 2-yard line. And I'll never forget it. We went into overtime, and in Little Leagues, if you run the ball after you score, because you get first and goal on the 10-yard line. If you score, you go your 2 points.
Yes, your field goal. Yeah, your versus your field goal versus your play. Yeah.
Well, their kicker had never missed a kick all year, and they scored on the first and 10 on the 10. They give the Scooter scores. Their kicker bounces one off, planks one off the upright, and misses it. So they're up 6-0. We get the ball on the 10, and it's 4th down and 2 on the 2-yard line, and we scored. And they were like, "Do we want to kick it, or do we want to run it in just to win the game?" And it was like, "Let's kick it." And our kicker kicked it, and it went through. And I'll never forget that ever in my life. And especially after that game, the first thing that my coach said was, "You're a quarterback, and you'll always be a quarterback, and don't let anybody ever tell you that you're not a quarterback." And that's the reason why when Penn State recruited me, Bill, that when I went there and they still wanted me to be a safety, that I was like, you know what? I don't think that I'll ever listen, because I'm a quarterback and I want to be a quarterback.
Wow.
That's the same Penn State that recruited Jim Kelly to be a linebacker too. Keep that in mind.
Well,
He went to Miami. He went to Miami and turned out pretty good down there.
He was pretty good, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's insane. But you know what? You followed your heart, Matt. Number one, and you became something. We all know you. When Bill said your name, I'm like, holy shit! I watched him many a times back in the day. You know, like holy crap, I love watching him because I'm the head coach. I coach offense. I love offense, and I'm the type of person I'll watch different things just to get a nitpick. I like that version. I like this, and throw different formations in the same set. I love doing that. And I probably looked at some of your tapes and did the same shit you did. I'm not gonna lie. You know, off your game plan. But Bill, before we get out here, who do we have next week, Bill? I know we have someone coming on next week, correct?
Oh, speaking of Penn State, Keith Conlon, Goon, will be our guest. He is the played offensive tackle for the undefeated Penn State team with Kajana Carter, Kerry Collins, and that bunch. He played. He was a starting offensive tackle. He'll be with us. He's also the host of the Goon and Ironhead show, Penn State sports show. He lives up at State College and super duper guy. And we'll have fun with him just like we did with Matt.
Definitely. Well, Matt, listen, man, you know, for my part and Bill's part, of course, you know Bill for many years. Listening to you, I feel that I know you more than I ever did. But please don't be a stranger, man. Come back anytime. You know, your family here. You know, just hit me up anywhere you want. And what is your Twitter account so people can follow you out there, Matt?
Oh, good Lord. I didn't know off the top of my head. At mgrowthy8, I think.
Okay. Whatever it is, send it to me by messenger because I don't think we're friends on Twitter. I'll post it on our page so people can check you out.
I have it, but I couldn't tell you what. It's either.
I think it is mgrowthy8.
Is it? Okay.
I think it is.
Sounds good. All right, well, guys, you ready to get out of here and we do this again next week? I mean, we got some big games. We'll talk about our 5 games. You know, the underdog that I call. You know, that I might win here. You know that game, but I think it's unanimous. I think it's 4-1. We agree on my part being the 1-4, but we'll revisit this next week, Bill.
All right, sounds good.
All right, everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We'll be back next week, same time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Matt, once again, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks, Matt.
Guys, see you next week.